Welcome to Weight Loss Mastermind. We're going to introduce you to several patients from Saxmundham Health who've been successful in losing weight and would like to share some of their tips with you. Let's now meet our first contestant. So, can we have your name, please?
Neil Pyemont.
And what's your occupation?
I'm a quantity surveyor and estimator for a roofing company.
And what is your specialist subject?
Weight loss within diabetes too.
Okay, Neil, the time starts now. How much weight have you lost?
I've lost roughly 4.5 stone since February of 2021.
And how did the weight come off over the weeks and months?
Initially it came off very quickly, so the first 6 to 8 weeks I probably lost 2.5 stone. Since that time it's slowed down, and in fact at the moment, 6 months in, I'm probably lucky if I lose 1 or maybe 2 pounds during the course of the week.
Okay, and having lost weight, how do you feel different now?
Well, I certainly feel far more energetic, and for example, I can walk up a hill with the dog. Previously I would have to stop a couple of times doing so. My knees would hurt, my back would hurt, but actually I can go up now without any stops at all. I'm not out of breath by the time I reach the top, and actually I reckon I could do it quicker than the dog now.
And how did you actually achieve this? What was the method you used?
A combination of low carbohydrate and intermittent fasting. Now by low carbohydrate, I try to eat between 30 and 50 grams of carbohydrate a day. And that means to do that, I have given up things like potatoes, bread, pasta, fruit, alcohol. That pretty well covers most of the main things. And I've also intermittent fasting, so I gave up eating breakfast, and that means that I eat all my food between 1 o'clock in the afternoon and around about 8 o'clock in the evening, so I automatically fast for 16 to 17 hours a day.
Right. And have you lost weight like this before, and is there anything different this time?
Yeah, I've done lots of diets over the course of my 65 years, and I have lost weight. I have never successfully kept that weight off, and I've never lost this much.
And are there new foods you enjoy now, or foods you miss in particular?
I'll start with the second one because that's very easy. Yes, I miss toast. I really do miss toast. As for other foods that I now enjoy, I used to steer as clear as I possibly could of vegetables and salads and things like that. I now positively look forward to having those things, and some of those things we can use to replace things that we've been used to eating. So for example, instead of mashed potatoes, which are very, very high in carbohydrates, I will eat broccoli mash or cauliflower mash, which have got virtually no carbohydrates in them at all. Similarly, rice. Again, the cauliflower is a very useful vegetable, and cauliflower rice, if seasoned correctly and mixed with the right things, is a very delicious substitute for that.
And is there anything you'd like to say to other overweight people who might be watching this?
I would say that I can imagine that they're all being very sceptical, as indeed I was when I first heard about this. But I can say that it really is worth the effort. And actually there's not that much effort involved. It hasn't been a hardship for me to do this, and it's been a very enjoyable experience actually. I think that the fundamental difference between what I've done this time and what I've done in the past is to recognise that this is now a lifestyle change. It's not a diet, it's not a fad. What I've done in the past is to go on a crash diet, lose a stone or so maybe, and then thinking, right, that's it, I've got it cracked, I can get back into my trousers again, and I reinstitute the way that I used to live before. I now know that this is now going to be something that I follow for the rest of time, really.
Because some people certainly find it easy if they have someone close to whom they can discuss menus, shopping, food and progress. What's your experience of this, and how important do you think it is to set targets and goals?
Well, I think it's absolutely fundamental, to me anyway, to have someone to work with on it. And my wife has been absolutely magnificent in that. We sit down and we discuss menus, we discuss when we're going shopping, what we're going shopping for, and even where we're going shopping for those things. So, as I say, it's been fundamental. And when I feel low about something or think, I haven't lost any weight this week, she's always been there to buoy me up and really help me through the difficult times.
But on the other side, of course, peer pressure is a very powerful force. And how difficult you find it to resist the urges of family, friends and colleagues to have another beer, get a takeaway, or behave in the way you always used to. And they expect you to. And what mechanism have you employed to kind of resist the temptation? How's your self-discipline?
Well, I think, as I've already said, that I do recognise that it's a lifestyle thing now. And that has not undoubtedly meant that I have been very disciplined about it, and indeed preached that discipline to an awful lot of other people. They're probably fed up with me telling them. Peer pressure is very, very strong, as you say, and it is a question of, I love rugby, so I go to the rugby club and they expect me to drink 3 or 4 pints, and they expect me to eat lunch with them all in exactly the same way as I have done for years. And it's a question of deciding what you're going to do before. So I'll have sparkling water instead of a beer, for example. I will eat lunch with them, but I won't eat potatoes or the pastry from a pie, or the steamed pud and custard afterwards. There's always a way of overcoming things. And if you do decide for whatever reason you're going to have a pint of beer and a pie, then you think, well, there's always tomorrow. Okay,
so that's the sort of falling off the wagon technique, how you respond to that. That's good. So Neil, what's happened about your type 2 diabetes control?
Well, when I started this process, I was on roughly 140 units a day of insulin. After a couple of weeks, I cut that down to something like 50 units a day, because there was no carbohydrates going in, so my sugar and glucose levels had come down considerably, and I must emphasise that I was pricking my fingers about 8 times a day, continually monitoring what that sugar was, and even getting up in the middle of the night and doing so. And after about 5 weeks, with consultation with the medical team here at Mastermind Health, I actually gave up insulin altogether, and I haven't gone back onto it. So that's pretty well 5 months now.
Fantastic.
My HbA1c is now just over 6, and my daily glucose on average 6.2, 6.3, something like that.
Great, thank you. So how's your exercise pattern changed nowadays compared to how it was before?
Well, first of all, as I've already said, it's very much easier now. So I now go for a walk every lunchtime, whereas I used to find any excuse not to go for a walk at any time. And I mow the grass. I had no problem at all in going for a walk, either with a dog or for the sake of going and having a walk in this beautiful countryside that we live in. And even I was on holiday a few weeks ago with our baby granddaughter, and found that my wife had got several hundred yards further on as I was on a telephone call to work. And in order to catch her up, I broke into a jog, and she thought that it was somebody completely different coming running past her.
Well, congratulations. You've scored 17 points. Now, Neil, you passed on sweet foods, potato, pasta, bread, rice and bananas, which are the worst foods for weight gain. So, well done.
Thank you.